If you're tired of rebuilding your projects every time you open up DaVinci Resolve, you're slowing yourself down before you even start editing. So today I'll show you the perfect setup, one layout and template that works for every YouTube video, so you can stop starting from scratch, edit faster, and finally publish on time without feeling lost in the process. And by the end of the video, you'll have a reusable project template, a layout built for editing YouTube videos, organizing assets so you're not hunting for a B-roll every time. I also share my go-to shortcuts and the export preset that saves clicks. Before we get started, let me quickly show you an example workflow from start to finish, then break down the setup step by step. So when you're ready to start your new project, you import your video project with all your assets and drop it in the media pool. From there, you can start dropping your clips onto the timeline and start the editing process. Once your clips are all organized, you can start with the rough cuts, using the keyboard shortcuts to start deleting the mistakes and silent parts. Pro tip, there's a new feature in DaVinci Resolve 20.2 where you can remove silences so you can edit even faster now. You go to Clip, then Audio Operations, then Ripple Delete Silences. Then you can see from the preview below what parts are going to be cut out with the slider. Next thing is to go to your power bins and start adding your B-roll, text, effects or animations, transitions, any background music, and then lastly your end screen, which is the last 20 seconds of your video. Once you're done with the rough cuts and the polishing, you preview the video to check for any mistakes or typos, and then you can move on to the deliver page to export your video and then upload it to YouTube. So that's the high-level walkthrough. So to set this all up, it starts right at the beginning in the project manager. This is where you set up your template, which is the one file that saves you from starting from scratch. If you make different types of videos, like long form videos and short form, you can create separate folders and add your video projects in either folder to keep your project manager organized. To create a folder, right click and create new folder, name the new folder, and then you can start dropping all your video projects in there. For templates, this is the reusable template you use when you're ready to start editing a new video. First thing to do is click new project, then add your video title here. You can change location and then click create. Next thing is to head up to the top and then click preferences, click system, and then video and audio input and output. For input device, select your mic. And for output, you can use system settings or choose your speaker or headphones. Then under user and UI settings, you can check this to reload the last project that you were editing. And if you're editing vertical videos, you check use optimize UI layouts. And I'll show you what it looks like later on in the video. Next is project save and load. If you've watched my last video where I show you how to fix the 10 common issues in DaVinci Resolve before it starts glitching and crashing out, make sure to turn on live save and project and timeline backups. Going back to DaVinci Resolve, click keyboard customization. Here's where you can customize the default keyboard settings. For editing YouTube videos, the most common ones I use are on the left side of the keyboard. So I use QWE, so Q and E to delete on the left and the right, and then W to split the clip. I use S to delete, to gap delete, and then D to ripple delete. And then I have the function keys up top here, like F1 to bring up the keyboard settings without going up top here, F2 to create a compound clip, F3 for voiceover, and all the way down to F8 for quick export. You can watch the keyboard shortcuts video where I walk you through creating your own custom shortcuts. And then once you're done creating your custom shortcuts, click the three dots up here and then save it as a new preset. From this drop down, if you're coming from Adobe Premiere or Final Cut Pro, you can use those same shortcuts from either tool here. Next thing to do is to go to this gear icon at the bottom here for project settings. And under master settings, you can start customizing for your timeline. So for the timeline format, under timeline resolution, for long form YouTube videos, you can choose HD resolution or Ultra HD. Or for vertical videos, you can check this box here and it'll automatically switch to the 1080 by 920 for vertical videos. The rest of these settings, I used ChatGPT for the recommended settings for YouTube videos. After you're done with your changes, click the three dots here and set this as a default preset. So every time you load a project, it'll be the same settings in the master and color management, whatever other changes you made. If you do have a separate project template for vertical videos, you can create a new preset. First thing to do is to check the vertical resolution and then create a new preset for this timeline resolution. So your vertical videos will have a different timeline resolution from your horizontal videos, so you don't have to switch back and forth. Now for YouTube videos, most of your work will be done on the edit page and maybe the color page if you have a background in color correction and color grading. But for now, we'll stick to the edit page. So on the top left, you can click the drop down here to expand the side view. And for the media pool, here's where you drop your video projects to start editing. So your folders will be on your left and everything that's inside the folder will be on the right. There's also effects. So you have your video and audio transitions plus your titles. If you don't see a full list of your effects, you can click this here. And there's also your favorites. So whatever transitions you like, you can save them to your favorites. So it's easier to access from here. Back to the media pool, you can right-click master and check resync media files. So if you ever add more assets to your project folder with auto sync checked, it'll automatically show up here. For your power bins, here's where you add your most used assets. And if you don't see this folder, click the three dots here to show power bins. Here you can add a folder or a bin for your background, B-roll, text that you reused from the effects animation, like circles and arrows, or YouTube subscribe buttons. You can also add music, like background music, and a bin for end screens. You can find animation, effects, and music from Canva, Pexels, or Pixabay. And once you download them, add it to your power bins. So every time you start a new project, they'll be here. So using titles, for example, you click effects and then under titles and then drag and drop it on a timeline. And then on the right, you click inspector and then change the text. For a font family, you can go through and choose a font. You can add your own fonts, like from Google Fonts. And once you download it to your fonts library, it'll show up here. For a color, you can add your brand colors here. And then you can go through the rest of the settings to make any changes, like change the size, alignment, position, or rotation angle. Pro tip for your power bins, you can number it based on your workflow. So for example, B-roll will be number 1, and then you add your text all the way down to your music and then end screen, and then you right click to sort by name. Now on the top right of your edit page, you can toggle these panels on and off. So this one is for the mixer to change the levels for your audio tracks. And then there's their inspector. And then here's where you customize your video, audio, and effects. And then there's viewer guides, and you can turn this on and off depending on if you're working on a horizontal or vertical video. So for horizontal, it'll be 16 by 9. And then for vertical videos like shorts and reels, it'll be 9 by 16. And you can use these guidelines to see how it would look for vertical videos. For timeline resolution, you have your Ultra HD, your Full HD, and then for this example, you check Portrait to start editing your vertical videos. So you click this drop down here to turn on Transform to move your clip into the frame. If you don't see this full view to edit vertical videos, click Timeline Resolution, Portrait, and then Expand View. For the preview window, you can click Dual Viewer Mode, where your video on the timeline will be on the right, and then your videos in the media pool will be on the left. So if you're editing B-roll, you can use the I/O shortcuts by pressing I to start the clip and then O to end the clip. And then from here, you can choose Insert Video and Audio or just Insert Video. For now, we insert video. And then you can drag it on top. And you'll see here with this red line, it only extracted that portion of the clip onto the timeline. There's also resizing your window and resizing the panels. And you can also go to Workspace Under show page, you can check or uncheck it. So if you're using just the edit, color, and deliver page, you can uncheck the media, cut, fusion, and Fairlight page. There's a few more changes to make for the layout, but if you're done with this, you can go to layout presets under workspace and then save this layout as a preset. And then once you name it, you can go back to layout presets and then choose your preset. So for example, I have a full screen preset where I can load, and I now have it set up for dual screen with the preview window showing up on a second monitor. Now for the timeline, you can have separate timelines for your vertical videos and horizontal videos, or create a timeline for your podcasts, or to grab clips for YouTube. To create a new timeline, you right click and then under timelines, create new timeline, or click Control N. So this is an example timeline here, the 16:9 for long form videos. Above that, you can customize your timeline. Starting from the bottom, you can change the track height for video and audio. For viewer background, you can use checkerboard, black, gray, or alert red. So if you move the clip outside of the safe area, it'll show up red. Or you can set it up for checkerboard. So if you see this background, turn transform on to move it back to place. There's also thumbnail view. You can use film strip or thumbnail. And you can also turn on display stacked timelines. And then on the right here, click the plus sign. And now you have two timelines. So this is the 16:9 timeline up top here. And then below it, you can choose a timeline like 9:16. And what you can do from the main timeline is drag clips down to your other timelines, like a clip for a YouTube short on the vertical timeline. If you need more space to edit and you have a second monitor, you can use the dual screen from earlier by going to workspace, dual screen, check on, and then full screen timeline. So you can have your preview window on one side and then the full timeline on another. To exit out of the stacked timeline, you click the X at the bottom here. And now we can move on to tracks. So to add another track, you right click and then add track. Or you can add multiple tracks. So for my setup, I have the A roll here. And then I would add the B roll on top. And then another track for titles. So that's the video and the visuals. Below that, you can add audio tracks. You'll have your voice down here and your music below it. To change the name, you double click and rename it. And you can also change the color by right clicking and changing track color. Going back to audio, head over to inspector. And for the voice, you can change the track level. So every video you drop on the timeline on this track will be at the same level. And then you turn on AI dialogue leveler to improve the audio. On the music track, you add your background music, click the music track, and then you can also change the track level here. Turn on Ducker. For source one, you choose the track with your voice or any dialogue. If you have multiple tracks, you can click the plus button to add another track and then change the duck level under advanced. And then play around with the settings. With Ducker turned on, the music track gets lower and then goes up when there's no dialogue. So it automatically changes the volume, which helps you save time from editing. This was a lot to set up, but this setup is a one-time thing. So remember to save your layout as a preset under workspace and then layout presets. And then one more thing to do is to go to your deliver page to create a preset for your exports. An example preset I'm using is the YouTube preset for long form videos. So I'll add the file name and then location, and then make sure export video is checked. Select MP4 for the format, and then H.265 for the codec. For resolution, make sure the resolution matches the timeline. So the 1920 by 1080. Or if you're exporting a vertical video, you check the vertical resolution. The frame rate is the same as the timeline. And then I'll leave the rest of the default settings for color space tag and gamma tag. That's the same as the project. And then under audio, check export audio, and then under audio normalization, check normalize audio. And you can choose between normalized to standard or optimized to standard. And then for the standard, choose YouTube, which will change the target loudness to the -14. And this is automatically set up for me once I click here. And then I could just add to render queue. And then it will show up here where I'll click render all to start the process. To create your own preset for export settings, you click the 3 dots up here. After you make your updates for this export setting, you save it as a new preset, name it, choose the icon. If you want to add it to your quick export section, check add to export and then click save and it'll show up as the first thing here. So from the edit page, you'll find quick export with your new preset here. So you can skip the deliver page and start the process from here. And finally, after you're done customizing your power bins, effects, titles, and projects, don't forget to remove any extras from the timeline. So you control all and then delete for an empty timeline and then click file, save project as, name it template. And then when you go to your project manager, your template will be here. So when you're ready to start a new project, open up DaVinci Resolve, right click the template, and then open in read-only mode, and then go back to file again to save project as, and then the video number and title, and then import your project folder to start editing from here. So that's the setup I use every time I open up Resolve, so no more starting from scratch. Next video in the series, I'll show you how to edit educational videos with this exact setup, and then later, editing tips for vertical videos and podcasts. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it.